Okay, so you're scrolling through your social media feed, right? And you probably noticed that some people they just never ever post photos of themselves. It's a pretty interesting choice in a world that feels so online all the time. Today, we're going to get into the fascinating psychology behind that digital discretion.
You know exactly who I'm talking about. Your feed is just this constant stream of selfies, vacation pics, and daily life updates from pretty much everyone. But then there are those few friends or maybe colleagues whose profiles are just quiet. You know? Maybe they have a default avatar or a picture of their pet, but you never see them.
It's so easy to just assume, oh, they're just not into social media. But, the truth is often way deeper than that. This usually isn't about being uninterested. It's a very deliberate choice, and it's driven by some really powerful internal stuff. So what is really going on behind that blank profile picture? Let's dive in.
So, our first big piece of the puzzle is all about protection. For a lot of these folks, choosing not to post is actually an active strategy. It's about guarding their inner world and, you guessed it, avoiding the super harsh glare of online judgment.
And this right here, this really gets to the heart of it. I mean, think about it. We live in a world where oversharing is basically the default setting. So, when someone consciously chooses privacy, that becomes a really powerful act. It's them drawing a line in the sand and saying, hey, not everybody gets access to my life, my face, or where I am. You can really see the split in what people value, can't you? So much of online culture says that being seen, being known, that's where the value is. But this other mindset, it finds security in a little bit of mystery. It's swapping that need for public attention for the quiet power of what you keep just for yourself. It's not really about hiding, it's more about feeling secure in what you choose not to put out there. But it's not just about loving privacy. There's also a big protective instinct going on. Come on, let's be real. The internet can be a pretty wild and judgmental place, and some people are just keenly aware of the risks that come with being a little too visible. And this isn't just some vague feeling of anxiety. Nope. It's a bunch of very specific worries, like the fear that a photo could be totally taken out of context, or that an innocent post could somehow invite a wave of harsh criticism, or even attract the wrong kind of attention. So choosing not to post, it's just a simple way to sidestep that whole potential minefield.
Okay, so if the first reason is all about avoiding the negative stuff, the second one is about embracing something really positive. This decision often comes from a place of having a super strong internal compass, a solid sense of self-worth.
And honestly, this just changes the entire game. Think about it. So much of social media is fueled by this economy of likes and shares and comments. But for the people we're talking about, that whole system, it's kind of irrelevant. Their sense of self-worth comes from the inside. It's not being crowdsourced from an online audience. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? It points to this really fundamental confidence that just doesn't hinge on what other people think. When you already know who you are, deep down, you just don't need a digital round of applause to prove it. And this leads to a really fascinating dynamic. So instead of jumping into what can feel like a race for attention, they often slip into the role of the observer. They're thinkers, they're processors. They're watching how we all behave online. There's actually a great term for this, the observer mindset. And trust me, it is not passive at all. It's a very active choice. They might find all the social stuff online totally fascinating, but they feel zero pressure to join the performance. In a way, their silence becomes its own kind of message, and it really does speak volumes.
Which brings us to our third big idea. This choice isn't just about what they're avoiding online. It's also about what they are actively choosing to embrace offline, in the real world. And sometimes it's really as simple and as deep as that. The priority is the experience itself, not the whole song and dance of capturing it and curating it for an audience. They're just more invested in being truly present in the moment, rather than trying to manufacture a memory for everyone else to see. So it really all boils down to preferring the tangible, real stuff over the digital version. They value real, messy conversations more than a perfectly crafted caption. They value raw, authentic emotions more than a flawless filter. For them, social media is just a tool, something you can pick up or put down. It's not the whole lifestyle. So with all that in mind, let's kind of pull it all together. It's time to reframe this whole choice, not by looking at what we think is missing, but by focusing on what's actually there. And this is a really important takeaway, especially if any of this is sounding familiar to you.
In a culture that is absolutely obsessed with FOMO, the fear of missing out, this way of thinking is a powerful antidote. Choosing to stay private isn't a sign that something's wrong.
In fact, it's often the exact opposite. This tendency can be a huge indicator of high self-awareness, of really knowing what you need and what you don't, and it can be a sign of true emotional depth, of having a life that's rich and full without needing to be broadcast 24/7.
Ultimately, it all comes back to this one idea. In the constant, deafening noise of our digital lives, choosing silence isn't a weakness. It's a profound and very deliberate strength.
And so that's the question I want to leave you with. As we all try to navigate a world that is constantly screaming at us to share more and more and more, it's really worth thinking about what we gain by choosing not to. What is the real value